One day in the submarine world, the Queen of the Coast told me, "You are about to reborn and return to Earth plane of existence, but beforehand you must have a meeting with our leader Satan. Though you're not yet spiritually qualified to be in his presence, you still need to meet him." She used her powers to split me and herself in two. At her command we became infused as one. I wasn't alone because the Queen was me and vice versa. Immediately she called Lucifer to appear. I heard Satan calling me by my name, and told me, "First you will receive a spiritual name, you will be reborn in the world like a baby to fulfill your mission. I chose your future mother in the world." At his command the wall turned to a big screen like plasma TV, and began to show the likes of many women of various nationalities. These women were in no way compared to glamorous women I had seen in the kingdom of the Queen of the Coast. At the devil command the photos of 3 fair-skinned women were displayed. A fair-skinned woman native of Imo State was chosen to be my mother, and she is married to a man from a neighboring city in the state. This woman had 5 children. The devil told me, I was responsible for the death of her first, third and fifth children. They live in Cameroon. I want to move them to Nigeria. Satan also showed me pictures of rich men and women, world's influential political leader, scientists and religious leaders who serve him. Satan monitored my future parents on the screen of the spirit world for 2 days consecutive. The Queen kept my mother to be sleepless and thoughtful about her deceased children, and she manipulated her thoughts to inquire supernaturally the cause of their deaths. The woman chose to take her issue to a soothsayer to discover what was the cause, instead of revealing the cause of death of her children. The soothsayer that was in contact with the Queen promised her that she would give birth to another child, a boy who would bring prosperity to the family and would erase his sadness. When it was time to send me to the world, I was summoned to the Queen's private chamber and she told me, "It's time for you to be born in the world. I will enrich your future parents." Then she started to chant incantation. Right after she had finished, I melted like ice until I ended up in my mother's womb. She fed me spiritually with blood until I was born. The family where I was born weren't Christians, otherwise the Queen plans would have been frustrated. Shortly after I was born, my new father began to prosper in his business. He won some contracts to build an elementary school, he got farms, and build a Presbyterian church, and he was made the elder in the church despite his ignorance of the elder's position. My family got rich as the Queen had promised. One night the Queen appeared and called me to join her. She was dressed beautifully and had a bag in her hand. She told me, "Rose, your father has flourished because I blessed your family, but he went on to build a church for the community with our money. Therefore, I will retrieve all our riches from him." She said the money would be for my personal maintenance and should be hidden from other people with security. She disappeared. On another occasion, when I was about to shower, the Queen appeared to me again, this time in a cloud, and expressed his disappointment with my father's decision to build a church with her wealth. She promised to withdraw the family wealth, and told me I am never to reveal her plans or I will lose my life. So she disappeared. In a short time my father started to incur losses in our farm, and business was no longer prospering. He ended up being a victim of crooks who made him lose all his savings. From there he started again from scratch. I was enrolled in an intern school. Initially the plan was that the Queen would send my daily meal. That seemed to be normal food. It was actually human meat. I was also to allow other students to start eating from my plate occasionally. The plan changed later when the Queen said I would have to go to their kingdom to get my food. My parents moved from Cameroon to Nigeria. At this time I did not often attend school. For most of the time I wouldn't be present in classes, but I was playing and running with the Queen in her palace. In my senior year the Queen told me to start distributing her products to mine hostile colleagues. Anyone who use these products will come under her control, except born again. The Queen said this was people who sought opposite power, and she taught me how to identify them. It is impossible for the Queen of River to control these Christians, but as for the others who are not born again, they are like toys in her hands. I intentionally put mine soaps and toothpaste tubes in the bathrooms with other products of personal hygiene, so that they would freely be used by my hostile colleagues. When I finished my studies, I began to live with my older brothers in the Republic of Benin that worked with the supply of goods and has a deposit. The queen instructed to sell my supplies of good of the spirit world. I started to mix these products that my brother was selling with stocks of the spirit world. After a period of time, the queen suddenly ordered me to leave that country as quickly as possible and move to another city. The queen rented an apartment of 2 rooms in a suburb of the city and ordered me to buy an earthen vase from the 5th seller in a specific market of her choice. Later, when she appeared, she brought 4 mirrors, and at her command the mirrors left her hands and were hung and paralyzed on the wall of my room through incantation. And then a strong white light started shining through the mirrors. Through incantation 4 men appeared in the mirror. As a result, the clay pot was magically filled with blood of these men. No one should enter this room where I would keep the materials provided by the spiritual world. The queen also gave me something like mint to chew, saying it would give me the power to turn into anyone I desired to carry out my functions. From there I started to sell snacks to students. All the people who bought the queen product, their physical identities was displayed through the mirrors in my room. I would turn into a sophisticated lady to provide wholesale goods for sellers. We were joined by hundreds of my retailers. I still stay thirstier for wisdom and hidden power. I visited the Queen of the Coast and he informed me that my new temple will be located within Lake Mokoto. This is considered a mysterious lake in Biriba State. When the temple was opened, a ceremony was performed during which sacrifices of blood were made. I locked the door with security and chanted the necessary incantation. In that moment my spirit was fragmented in 2 places at the same time. The first was there and the second was traveling to another dimension in the spiritual world, where I was received by the king of demigods, who told me, "I'll be your guide during your trip. Regardless of what you see or feel, you are not allowed to ask questions." The first place where I was taken was in a high-tech car designer installation. It was a large complex of tall buildings and it was beautiful, and the gates structures seemed futuristic, and they opened by their own, and we entered. The first place where I was taken was a big laboratory where some men were busy like ants in raising some dry materials in containers. Without noticing us, the visitor, I shouldn't ask questions, but I asked the king of demigod who they were. He responded angrily that they are scientists. Then I was taken to a factory where the food for babies were manufactured in a line of assembly. I could see the name EA brand of the product in the cans, but I was curious to check this brand. While I struggled to open the lid, the cane fell to the floor, spilling the powder, which I realized was human flesh of the bodies of disobedient agents packaged in baby food to infuse babies with water spirits like me. I visited another place. When we were hungry, the evil king asked a demigod, that had animal characteristics, to prepare a meal for us. I saw opening a jar on the table and a baby girl wake up crying. The demigod did an incantation and the baby became very weak, unable to cry more. He dipped a knife into the baby body, for she was our meal. I was taken to a big museum with the golden statues of all the notables, people that had served the realm of darkness. The king asked me if I already had known Satan. Then I was shown a beautiful image of Satan. He promised to grant me power to be able to stand before the presence of Satan, for I was not yet qualified to see him in all his power. I was very excited to see my own statue in this place, but we couldn't see all of them because the king told me that the statues were numerous and that it could take months to see them all. With my new temple, new responsibilities were given to me. I received guests such as the political and religious power makers and people from various walks of life. I also received a pamphlet on the laws that guide the energy use. One of them is that a member from the realm of darkness shall not use their powers against the other member. One day I saw a meeting through the occultic screen in my temple, and find out that it was a church with all its members. Among these people there was a man who had a shiny ring around the head, for a supernatural ring is seen around the head of those who are born again. The ring above their heads signify the presence of the Holy Spirit over born again. The rings of some people are opaque while others are brilliant. My discoveries was that the man with the shiny ring was not member of that church. He just started to attend because he recently moved to the city. On Sunday, when the service ended, I made an astral projection to the church, while the faithful were leaving and heading to the main road, including this Christian man. A driver was coming from the opposite side. When this Christian was about to cross the road, I quickly entered the body of the driver and took over the driver's body, and I controlled his leg by changing from the brake to the accelerator and making the car roll in full speed. I also left the rears wide open so that the car crushed many people, and I cheered in my temple thinking I had killed this Christian. Later, when I watch a reproduction of the scene in my screen, I realized that the Christian was spared. Not a single believer died. My joy quickly turned into disappointment. I was doing incantation and I broke the egg in the ground. Immediately there was an earthquake that opened a hole on the land. I was taken to the lower world. I went down. I appear in front of a mighty demon who asked me who I was and what I was doing in his kingdom, and not so hostile. I introduced myself like the son of the Queen of the Coast with the mission to gain more wisdom. This devil said that really there was nothing spectacular to explore in his realm. I was free to ask questions and he would answer. I saw some terrestrial birds flying, and I asked this devil about them. He told me that these birds were responsible for helping them plant supernatural tree like the sweet tree in the land. I also saw a football field. Then I saw a desert with many men and women with chained on them. By the expression in their faces it seems that they haven't eaten in months. This prince said these were people whose souls were given to the devil in exchange for earthly riches. They look like they didn't die. He explained to me what impacts are made with the kingdom to receive human lives in exchange for power. This demon mentioned the name of a certain prophet whose name I cannot reveal, who made an agreement with the devil that he would regularly supply 2 human heads, so that his power will be manifest in his church. The transaction went well for years until the last years, when his debt of human head accumulated. After warning from Satan, this demon and his army stormed the prophet church in a rage, demanding debts to be paid, and causing a wax where on the road. This led the structure of the church to be eroded in the physical realm. People say the erosion was presumably caused by a great flood. It took a while, but the demon admitted that he ended the life of this prophet. The demon said he has their own construction company on earth that will repair the church. This devil also showed me in a big screen pictures many people. They were rich, philosopher, scientists, and he says that some of these people were dead while the others were still alive. They were in partnership with the realms of darkness. The devil said that if any of these people break one of the laws that guide the kingdom of darkness, they will be subject to penalty such as irrevocable death. After passing 3 days with that demon, I thought about what did he say about his own construction company that repair the damaged road was actually true. The Queen arranged for me to embark on a journey to all the kingdom of darkness in order to embody all the wisdom and power needed in my operations against the kingdom of God. This journey took a whole month, and after the visits I was provided of more strength and knowledge. 17 Occultist's sequel in value to me.